This is a Film Stories original podcast.
The Plague, Pattinson, of course, Hersey.
Hello everybody and welcome to Writers on Film. This is the second special report from Cannes. Today I'm delighted to be joined by my Cinema Italia guest from a week ago, or maybe it comes out next week actually, sorry, Nicholas Bell. Thank you so much for joining me, Nicholas.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always great seeing you here.
I think we must have met in Cannes or Venice? Venice it was, indeed. And so we're going to talk about a few films that we've both seen, a few films that that Nicholas has seen and I haven't, so he can fill me in on those. But let's start off with the film we both saw last night, and now Die My Love, Lynne Ramsay's adaptation. It's based on a novel, correct?
Yeah, I believe the author's Argentinian, Ariana Harwitz, and I think the novel was set in France, if I remember correctly, but not so with the film.
Yeah, it's a sort of, I didn't quite get whereabouts in America it was, but it's sort of a rural community.
Same. I mean, they mentioned New York, a couple having lived there, so I don't know if it's upstate somewhere, but I don't think it really matters. But
yeah, and Sissy Spacek is Robert Pattinson's mother, and Jennifer Lawrence plays his partner, and she is the central character, and she is suffering from postpartum depression. It's not actually quite as clear as that, because the film skips around in time quite a bit, so the chronology isn't so precise that we see a before and an after in terms of her suffering from obvious mental health issues. This is, as I said before, directed by the Scottish director Lynne Ramsay, who's been in Cannes before with You Were Never Really Here, Joaquin Phoenix film, a brilliant film.
Yes, yeah, I love that too.
And we need to talk about Kevin, which was at Venice, I believe, which is her film I sort of least like. I always found that.
I think that was in Cannes.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I remember seeing it in Toronto right after the premiere. No, wait. Now I'm totally confused. I think it was at Cannes, because that was the year Kristen Dunst won for Melancholia. And I remember Tilda being talked about a lot as potential best actress winner.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's also a difficult film.
Yeah. I found it a film which was more about setting up a world which is so abrasive to the protagonist that it felt almost unfair. It felt like it was putting a thumb on the scale somewhat.
Oh, for sure. This Die My Love kind of reminded me a bit of Morburn Caller territory for Lynne Ramsay. That's more of a road trip film, but is this woman kind of becoming undone a bit?
Yeah, that's of course starring a very early role for Samantha Morton, who went on to sort of Hollywood stardom with Minority Report and other such films. I think this film was quite divisive in the screening I saw, although then everybody I've talked to since really liked it, so I'm not sure if it was just the late night atmosphere in the cinema. But it did get a fair number of boos, and it didn't get an applause in the Debussy, which is the biggest press screening theatre.
That's surprising to me. But I don't know if that's ever an indication. I remember, was it 2021? My favorite film that year was France, the Bruno Dumont, and that was booed where I was. But I kind of really enjoyed Jennifer Lawrence in this, and everything about it I did really like.
So Jennifer Lawrence plays Grace. She has a baby. There is a newborn. There is a very we see them at the very beginning, sort of not buying a new house. They inherit a new house from the Robert Pattinson's uncle, who we later discover has had his own issues. And there's a real sense of like things happening, which are sort of magical. There's lots of dance involved. There's lots of surreal sequences, the blazing forests, and it from the very beginning, we're never really sure if we're watching reality or watching what's inside Grace's head.
Yeah, she's very much an unstable, unreliable narrator. feel like there are some truths in there that are kind of interesting to parse through, such as her own family background, because she ends up briefly in being admitted, like the night after their actual wedding, and what we learn, I think, is really interestingly mirrored about her kind of own abandonment issues.
Yes.
Because then we learn that from her being spoken to by a therapist, and then later we see her on a beach with her husband and the infant, and these young women take the baby away to play with it, and it kind of sets up the same scenario, which I took as that was something that was very real about her and kind of a key to her.
Yeah, it's an interesting film because it's at the same time really in your face, really bold, really striking, and subtle. And that's a very weird combination that I walked away really kind of puzzled by stuff. And sorry, go ahead.
No. Sorry, I was going to say funny. Like,
right, Jennifer Lawrence's performance really goes through the whole compass of emotions, and yeah, sometimes you really are on her side in terms of Robert Pattinson's husband is Jackson, as he's called, is a bit of a sort of well-meaning schlup who is kind of a bit of an idiot as well at times.
A man-child,
yeah,
if you will. And we get a lot of, well, because Nick Nolte and Sissy Spacek, who are reuniting after Affliction, seem like very loving parents, and it's unclear why he turned out the way he did.
you got a feeling he was babied a little bit too much. And Sissy Spacek is a wonderful mothering character, and I think she's wonderful as the untypical for fiction mother-in-law, who's actually 100% supportive and 100% aware of what is going on.
Yes, and her own flaws.
Yes,
which I really liked. I was struck by, I'd recently rewatched They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And I kept thinking of Jane Fonda as kind of a funny character that is cynical and acerbic and kind of just broken at maybe a certain level, but there are peaks and valleys to that performance. But I don't think I've seen somebody so unhappy. Maybe Marianne Jean-Baptiste too in Hard Truths, but like somebody that's so unhappy and over it from the first frame. Really.
Right, yeah, and there's no attempt to make her likable.
No.
And, you know, there's a moment in the store where and this is where I think it's better than we need to talk about Kevin. There's a moment in the store where Clark is just passing the time of day, so to speak. And she's like, you don't need to talk to me, you know, just get on with it, you know. And you don't feel that you don't sort of like, I'm on your side, you know, the Clark is being an idiot or anything like that. Read the room. You feel sympathy for both of them.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and that's I think that's a really mature sign for this film. The other thing I wanted to point out, and this goes a little bit to the surrealness and the subjectivity, is the sound design in this film is so constantly present. You're hearing very loud buzzing flies, or you're hearing there's a motorcycle that keeps going by outside, which is intrusive.
Yes.
And later turns out to be a kind of fantasy / nightmare figure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Played by Lakeith Stanfield, and it's unclear also if that is in her head that he's popping by to have an affair with her. It seems like he's a real character because he's seen also at a store with his own wife, and it seems a child that is handicapped in some way. And that kind of reminded me of Barbara Loden's Wanda.
Right.
This unhappy housewife that goes off with this man. But that's something she's fantasizing about. Because another mature scene I thought was there's a scene about sex in a car.
Yeah.
Because their sex life is dried up after having this child for a bit, and we don't usually see that so abrasively rendered in film. Because as someone who's been married 17 years, that felt like a very real conversation and a very desperate one.
Yeah, when are we going to have sex? We haven't had sex for a couple of months. Before dinner, after dinner. I'm going to nail this down now.
Yeah, that kind of control issue because that is, you know, how usually a relationship starts out, and when those things have to evolve, you know, how you navigate that is kind of make or break, right?
Yeah, and I totally agree with you about that, and it has those intimate moments, and then it also has these moments which are almost like literal metaphors. And this reminded me of Mother, which, of course, a Jennifer Lawrence film. There's a scene where she goes into the bathroom and she literally claws the walls. You know, it's crawling up the walls, kind of literally. And that could have been such a sort of outrageous, sort of on-the-nose moment, but you really sort of feel for her in that moment, and I really understood her, even though she's in a moment of complete self-harm and desperation.
It would have been really on the nose if it was yellow wallpaper that she was clawing at, but
good point.
But I think it's also a point in the film where we're often kind of laughing at her, the statements she's making, because they're statements that you probably also feel but never say.
Right.
But I think that is a key moment where it's like, oh, this isn't funny anymore. Like, there's not, she is in trouble. And I think it's also really easy, from an objective standpoint, to watch people's misery and be like, oh, they're making all these terrible choices, such as, will somebody please stop having parties around this woman and giving her alcohol?
Yes.
But when you want something so badly to be fixed, you want it to go away.
And you want to say, we're all here for you,
right,
and we're celebrating you coming home, and we're part of this. And that really reminded me of Woman Under the Influence, the Cassavetes film.
A lot of general ones.
Which goes with which sort of goes with Wanda, I think, in this film. It felt like this film had a lot of somebody's going by with a suitcase. Lift up, buddy. Noise.
The cobblestones.
Yeah, exactly. And we're on the Terrasse de Journaliste in Cannes here.
What's that line in Macbeth about the sidewalks are gossiping or something?
Yeah.
You think of all those. It made me think of all those great Women in Madness films from the 70s, Images, the Alban film.
Yes.
I think,
it's Susanna York, yes.
Yeah, that I think, who, as I understand, was part of constructing that character with Alban, but all of those kind of films I was thinking of.
Yeah, Repulsion.
Oh, yeah, Repulsion.
With Deneuve and a Polanski movie. It is a sort of, more than a woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown. It's a woman in the absolute midst of a psychotic episode.
Yes, there's no coming back.
No. And
it seems like.
That was, I don't think it's any spoiler to suggest, I'm not going to tell the ending or anything like that, but I feel like the film sort of really had a problem ending, not because of the film, not from any weakness in the film, but just because of this story itself. How do you, if you proffer false hope, if you proffer, then that's going to be trite. And yet, if you go for the other way, then, well, no, not all situations like this do have to be fatal. So there's an element where I did find myself wondering how they were going to end this. And actually, I think Ramsay sort of chose the right way out. I thought it was a decently ambiguous ending.
I agree, because there is no real easy resolution, at least not one that's quickly going to happen, and it's also not descending into kind of miserableism where it's just going to be supremely bleak. Like, there is a way out. It's just that these people in the situation they're in are going to need more time to figure that out.
Yeah, and they're going to have to really start making better decisions.
Oh, for sure.
Such as when someone says, we need a cat, don't buy a dog.
No, the dog is driving me. Yeah, because that's also in the sound design, is this dog that will not stop barking.
Yeah.
What happens to the dog is also tragic.
Tragic, but kind of completely understandable given the circumstances. Animals do not fare well in this film.
No. Yeah, there's a horse that takes a pretty big hit.
Yeah.
And we're laughing because it's like, if you're not, you're crying, I guess.
Yeah. There is a dark humor to it,
yeah.
And I did find even Robert Pattinson sort of turning up with that dog to be perfectly congruent with his character.
For sure.
It's like when they go in the car and they're trying to have a proper conversation, and she says, "Do you mind if we turn the music off?" And he says, "But this is a classic."
Right, yeah,
and
exactly.
It's just like,
he's not focusing.
Yeah, you're not fully present, are you? If you've got half an ear to the music.
But then again, speaking back to being in relationships and you're, what are these characters in their late 20s ish? I mean, what do you know at that age? You don't know how to really communicate with your partner.
And you don't know how serious things are because you are kind of emotionally promiscuous. You are sort of emotionally all over the shop. And so when does that become a problem in and of itself? When does just being glum occasionally become depression?
Exactly. And all of the women that we do see saying, the first 6 months are hell, you're going to go crazy, and how that is normalized, just be crazy. But everybody's kind of like, but how do you make your way out of it? It's like you kind of, a woman with an infant is left alone. Like, you have to figure it out for yourself. All of these women with the advice, they'll talk about it, but it's all lip service.
Right, exactly. And I think that's a really good point. I think it's a very, I mean, we've seen Night Bitch recently.
Yes.
With Amy Adams, and I think that was a less successful film. It looked much more like a literary adaptation, heavy on the voiceover,
Yes.
very authorial voice, not really doing justice to the people who surrounded the main character.
That's for sure, especially with the husband, who's very forgiving in that. But, the Amy Adams performance, I think, is quite good. And it does make some crystal clear points that I like. But it's trying something a little more on the lines of magical realism, and I think sometimes that can sometimes take away, too.
It can feel a bit like a cop-out, can't it? V.S. Naipaul sort of did the world is enough. You don't really need all these tricks. He was obviously very against that. So what other films have we seen that we've seen together? Did you see Chronology of Water?
I did not. I didn't get a ticket to that, and it was a nice break. But I do want to see it.
We are Sunday morning. We're recording this, so we're at the stage of the festival when not getting in to see a film can actually be a good thing.
A gift. It's a gift.
A gift that keeps giving. We're going to see Pillion in a few minutes. But you mentioned a couple of films that I haven't seen. What about you tell us about some of those?
I'm trying to think. A Pale View of Hills.
Yes. What was that like? This is a Japanese film?
Yes. Kai Ishikawa, I believe, is the director. It's in a certain regard. I had just finished reading the novel it's based on, the first novel by Kazuo Ishiguro, which I loved. Fantastic.
He's such a great writer, isn't he? Artist of Floating World and Remains of the Day.
Yes. I liked it. It's beautiful to look at, and it has a kind of a significant twist with its two main female leads. And going back to Altman, I kept thinking of three women watching this, and it's doing some things very, very well, and it's beautiful to look at, especially when you kind of realize it almost like it was some 50s Technicolor wonder. Like it's got some beautifully lit, colored scenes. But it does fall a little bit short, especially because it's set in two periods, in 1952 Nagasaki and 1982 somewhere outside of London. And the 82 scenes, I think, don't really work well at all. Okay. But I did enjoy it. New Christian Petzold.
Right, yes, I've heard good things about this.
I did like it. Feels like a B-side to his Miroir's number 3. Paula Beer, who's drinking a lot of beer, and also her Stuck in the Countryside, and that was giving kind of like, I liked it, but it's kind of a rehash of things he's already done a little bit, specifically with Yella, the Nina Haas film from 2007, but very much we're seeing, although I can see why it's probably not in competition, perhaps it seems a little slight for him, especially. Renoir.
This is another Japanese film?
Yeah, it's a competition film, premiered yesterday. Shi Hayakawa.
Oh, he did the film about the population control. She. I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, yes, from 2022, that was called, I'm forgetting the name of it.
Like Rule something.
Something, Rule 75.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Which I remember.
Special Order 75.
Yeah. This I thought was kind of a little bit messy coming of age story.
Right.
That splinters off in so many directions. But the 11-year-old lead, who's new, I'm forgetting her name, but she's quite good. But it feels a bit like being very generous with giving an Ozu reference, but maybe kind of Koreeda, but with like a Kiyoshi Kurosawa virus happening in the background, because there's a girl, this 11-year-old, is set in 1987 Tokyo, so she's dabbling with online dating and talking to all these older men. So there's this element of danger, and then I really dislike that the title is Renoir,
Right.
because her father's dying of cancer, and she acquires this reprint of a Renoir painting. It's known as Little Irene, and that's hanging in his hospital room as he's dying of cancer. But I feel like it's such a kind of esoteric, symbolic metaphor for what's going on. That
Very oblique reference.
Yes,
Yeah.
like at least name the film Little Irene, kind of like Kenneth Lonergan's Margaret.
Right.
Like something.
Right.
I don't know. For some reason that really bothered me.
The New Yorker is going to scold you because you're being way too literal.
I am, but it's like Renoir. Are we talking about the painter or the filmmaker? Like what?
Yeah.
It's just, I felt like that was a jarring, misleading tone.
Was there anything Renoir-esque about the compositions or anything?
I didn't think so.
Right.
Unless I've seen several films by the younger Renoir, but I wasn't catching those references. Maybe I don't know if they were there, but I didn't love it.
Okay, what are you looking forward to that is to come?
Oh God.
Spike Lee is coming in a couple of days, I think.
Spike Lee's coming, but a lot of people have had a hard time getting tickets to
Yeah.
the screening in the Buñuel. Like,
Yes.
why isn't that playing in the Lumiere? I don't know.
Oh, the Debussy, for that matter. I mean,
Exactly.
it's these are the big 1,000+ seaters theaters.
It's Spike Lee. I mean,
Yeah,
Denzel
exactly.
Washington.
Denzel Washington. Who doesn't want to see that?
So hopefully that transpires, but otherwise I'm looking forward to History of Sound.
Yes, this is a director who did Moffie a few years ago.
Yeah, South African Oliver Hermanus. I've seen all of his films. I think I'm the biggest fan of Beauty, which I think was in 2011.
Right.
And then Resurrection, of course, The Be Gone.
Yes. Yeah, this was at the last minute. Got through the censors in China to get permission to show in Cannes.
One we were waiting for our schedule so long for.
Yeah.
Announced that. And then Alpha and Kali.
Yes, this is a new film from the director of Titan, so a Palme d'Or winner. And Raw, which was breakout hit. She feels like this is Julie. Yeah, well done. I'm going to let you go to all the pronunciations. I feel a little bit like she's been, sort of put in the shade a little bit by the success of Coralie Faguiat, the Substance, because they kind of tread the similar ground. Yeah, I think they're very different filmmakers. I don't want to conflate the two, but I just mean in the sort of public's mind or in the...
Yes, well, there's kind of a tawdriness to both of those films, Titan and The Substance, which I really like. But yeah, you could say that there's maybe a B-movie quality to the narrative storytelling of those films, but elevated.
I think The Substance could well have had a bigger shot at the Palme if Titan hadn't won recently. I thought it felt like two similar films.
Yes, there was almost. I remember when right before that premiere, there was always almost the sentiment that because of Titan, this was even allowed to be invited to the competition.
The gates had been broken open by splashy, bloody violence. Okay, I think we've got to run for our next screening, Nicholas.
Yes, yeah.
But thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me to do so.
Perfect.